Welcome to the GeForce Gamer Festival here in Seoul. I'm Tasteless, and joined with me is State. How's it going, man?
Oh, I am so excited to be here with you, casting two StarCraft legends duke it out on the big stage here on the streets of South Korea. I am so thrilled.
It's going to be pretty crazy, man. Very cool to be here for the 25th anniversary of GeForce here. And, you know, we're going back to where it kind of all started. StarCraft 1. This is the game that started the esports boom here in Korea that ultimately led to esports taking over the entire world. And it's very cool to see, you know, a company that makes the graphics cards that allow us to play the latest, craziest looking games out there. They're also going back and celebrating it where it started.
Oh, absolutely. I think that as gamers, we can all relate to that special feeling you get when you unbox a new NVIDIA graphics card. You get to play all your favorite games in the best settings, but this time it's going to be a blast from the past. Two pro gamers who really made legendary names for themselves in the early 2000s. Now, 20 years later, going to be battling again.
Yeah, a quarter of a century. We're back together again. And, you know, these are two guys from the earliest eras of StarCraft 1. Yell0w, really at the starting point. It was the big rivalry of him versus Slayer's Boxer put on TV. This is back in cable. This is before there was streaming. One of the only times there was ever esports on cable ever in the entire world. They had a huge rivalry. And then NaDa from maybe, I would say, about a year or two later. And that's really where StarCraft started to become mastered as a macro game, as an economy game. Before NaDa, the game was played much more on these tiny tactical skirmishes. So it's going to be very cool to see how they play against each other now. Obviously, the meta has changed. The top players in the world have changed. But these guys will always be legends for as long as we love StarCraft.
Yeah, especially NaDa. I am excited to watch him play because this guy, he might have retired a long time ago, but he has slowly but surely been working his way back into the StarCraft space. About a year ago, he started streaming StarCraft gameplay again. He was playing a lot of fastest map, and since then, he's been grinding on the ladder, whereas Yell0w, we don't know exactly where he's at. If he could reach that legendary form that he had in the early 2000s, this could be a really epic match, but at the same time, going against one of the best Terran players in the world in history, it's going to be a challenge.
He's been really active. NaDa's been apparently grinding a lot on the ladder. He's looking very strong. It looks like we're ready to be going into our games here. I'm curious if Yell0w can take a single game that we're going to have. But Yell0w's a smart player. I mean, you got to remember that these guys that started in the very, very early days, before we really even understood what RTS was, multiplayer at this level was very new. He was the guy that laid that foundation, so he could come up with something pretty crazy. And we're ready to get into this, guys. This is Game 1, Yell0w versus NaDa, here at the GeForce Gamer Festival in Seoul.
Oh, I'm so excited to get ready in game number 1. Our players are loading in. They want to start this action. It's going to be an epic match, Tasteless.
It's going to be a Zerg versus Terran. Obviously, Yell0w on Zerg, NaDa on Terran. A blast from the past here in 2025 as we celebrate NVIDIA and all they've done for gaming. On the map, Fighting Spirit, probably the most played map in the history of StarCraft. In the top right, we have NaDa, his opponent as the Zerg. In the bottom left, cross spawns here. It's the player Yell0w.
And I can't wait to get started. I am so curious about what kind of strategies these players have prepared for us here today. NaDa, he's been very aggressive, grinding on the ladder leading up into this moment. That has been working well for him. He's been able to climb to really the top echelon, despite it being so many years since he was once at his peak, whereas Yell0w, he's a little bit of a wild card. I feel like he's going to be entering this one. He said in the interview, he's been watching NaDa's games. He has an idea of how he's going to play. And somebody like Yell0w, I expect him to cook up some special strategies to take NaDa down.
You know, I think if these guys played 100 games, NaDa would come out ahead. But we only have a very small number of matches here tonight. So who knows what Yell0w's going to try to pull out here. I think there's a world where he could definitely, you know, have an ace up his sleeve here. We're doing a first-person perspective right now of NaDa, and you can see he's playing very fast. He's really from that era where APM kicked into play. That he became, you know, we had these guys that were suddenly able to do more tasks than Blizzard ever knew was possible in their own games.
That's one of the reasons why he was revolutionizing the new macro stage of StarCraft 1. It was because he was capable of executing at such a high level, and APM, multitasking, it's a critical part of that.
So it looks like Yell0w is going to be going for hatchery on 12. This is, I think, in some ways the oldest opener, maybe outside of a 4-pool, right? Or the stuff that people figured out in the first week. So nowadays, a lot of people open on as hatchery on 11. But it's the same idea. It's a fast expand play. NaDa did not make his barracks on the low ground. Does not appear to be doing any kind of rush. Does not necessarily appear to be fast expanding, although that is still an option based off what he's made so far. But for now, his barracks is going to be in his main. What I'm most curious about is NaDa going to try and do a one-base play? He's still from a lot of these one-base era games. He could try that, and we could end up with a very old-school game, or he could try to do something more hyper-modern and try to do a fast expand.
Yeah, so far it seems like he's just going for that early barracks. No gas taken yet here by NaDa, so I'm right there with you. I'm thinking that this is probably going to be some kind of fast expand, but the SCV scout is coming in. NaDa scouting the cross position first here and immediately retreats. Okay, no, he doubles back. He wants to see exactly what Yell0w's cooking up.
And so NaDa's going to go for, something, again, a little bit older than what we would be seeing in like an ASL, right? He's going to fast expand, but he does it basically putting Marines on the low ground. There's no wall in here yet, so maybe Yell0w goes for some kind of a punish here. If NaDa doesn't make a bunker, that could be a problem. Otherwise, I think we're just going to go into more of a macro standard game.
Yeah, it feels like we're trending in that direction, especially Yell0w. He's taking this gas a little bit later than you would if you're going for something like a very fast 2-hatch Muta. So both players here in game number 1, they're taking a relatively passive and slow build-up approach to the game.
That's right. We're waiting to see if it's going to be a layer right away from Yell0w, or if we're going to have something like a third hatchery thrown in. Oh, excuse me, the hatchery's actually underneath our overlay here. I was wondering where that was.
Right.
So the hatcheries are actually right at the bottom here.
Oh, and he's building the lair here on the low ground, Tasteless. Yeah. He doesn't want the SCV to see it.
So he's going to go for the engineering bay. And right now, NaDa, doing nothing fancy, going for upgrades. So I think we're going to see a classic TVZ here. The 3-hatch play is very strong. That was popular in the old days. It's still very popular now. And we should expect the Zerg to go for Mutalisks. But there is a world where you can go for Lurkers, right? Now, the SCV hasn't checked the natural yet. One of the reasons why it hasn't gone down there is once the SCV slides down the ramp, it's impossible to get back up. But I think NaDa's going to be wise enough. Even if he doesn't see the layer, he should expect that to be coming. Back over here on the Terran side of the map, NaDa's continuing to accumulate Marines. The engineering bay is a nod to the +1 attack. Again, indicating that he's not going to try to be ending the game right away, but instead going for a healthy mid-game position where he's looking really strong, he's got those upgrades, and he can take some fights when he needs to.
Yeah, it's an interesting development here for NaDa with the second barracks coming in. With that academy finishing up, it looks like some critical infantry upgrades are going to be coinciding with +1 infantry weapons for potentially, say, a 4 barracks timing later on in this match. And Yell0w, he's already got some Spielings out. He wants to deny the scouting, but NaDa, he spots the layer here at the natural expansion. Now he's getting to the main base. He sees 1 evolution chamber, so already a little bit of Yell0w's plan being revealed. Does he see the tech, though? I'm not sure he did, Tasteless.
I don't know that he did, but look, the Spire is always the main line opening, right? You can try to be ready for surprise tech and surprise tactics, but generally, you're assuming that the game's going to resemble something like the standard play. So Yell0w also goes for the Evo chamber. I'm loving what I'm seeing. I was curious when Yell0w mentioned in the interview earlier that he wasn't in great shape. He said he'd been playing lots of poker. He just had a kid, and obviously being a dad in the first year takes up a lot of time. But he's looking really strong. If you covered this idea up and asked me if what era this player would be from, I wouldn't be able to tell you this wasn't an ASL pro gamer. So that's really exciting. Here for NaDa, he's ticking all the boxes for a macro play. He's getting that factory up. That's going to be important for tanks, but also for the starport tech. Terrans, a lot of time when they go for these 2-base plays, there's always this cherry on top of the cupcake here with the tech build. You have to get the science vessel, because the science vessel lets you see lurkers, and it also has irradiate. So you can cast irradiate onto the Mutalisks, which are oftentimes clumped up, and that's a great way to punish it as well.
Yeah, missile turrets are already coming in here for NaDa as he's anticipating the Mutalisk tech from Yell0w. And Yell0w, he had a lot of resources banked when that Spire finished it, going for the expansion here at the very top left side of your screen. And I think we're going to have maybe 6 Mutalisks pop in just a moment, but not as well prepared for it. My question is, Tasteless, is he going to try and move out with this initial flock of Mutas reaching the map? Man, that's so many Mutas. 8 Mutas already here from Yell0w.
Well, NaDa's going to move out. He stims. One technique is if you can ever bait them into stimming. Okay, hold on. Ling run by here. This is big. And that's enough Lings that should force the entire army to come back home. Now, this is a moment when the Terran was looking for map presence, some way to do damage. The Mutas are going to come in here and hit the turret from behind. Keep in mind, those Lings are being chased by the Marines. It doesn't look like, oh, he does have enough. He actually takes that out. He's going to start to hit these SCVs. Almost kills a medic. I guess that was one Mutalisk short from one-shotting the medic. And this is a great play by Yell0w. I got to say, I'm already very impressed. A couple things to note here. First of all, there's a base hidden in the top left. So he's taking his third. He wants to eventually tech into lurkers and block that ramp off so that can't be punished. If Yell0w can do that, he's going to be in a healthy position as we start to enter the mid-game. Right now, what NaDa needs to do is get his Marines, start to move out on the map, and try to generate threats.
All right, it looks like NaDa's getting ready. I love that move by Yell0w going in with a Ling run by, taking down the missile turret in the main base as well, just to create more potential openings, more avenues of attack for those Mutalisks later on. And I feel like this is kind of forcing NaDa out of his element, but look at that. He scans the expansion here in the top left. NaDa knows exactly what is going on, and I think Yell0w, he might have caught wind of this. He might know it is scanned, and he might actually be trying to envelop this entire army. That is a large Zerg force on the right side of the map.
So I think he wants to counterattack. I think that's why he's positioned here. He's got 3 Lings on the outside, and he wants to wait. Right now, the Terran is occupying the bridge. He wants that to move out. He's going to come in here first with the Mutas because why not? This is an exposed area. And then he's going to back up. We don't have the Hive started, I think, yet. We'll have to get a shot of the natural. But the goal here for the Zerg is to get the Lurker tech, first of all, and then second of all, to go into the Hive as fast as possible because you can get that Defiler's Nest up. And when you have the Defiler's Nest, getting Dark Swarm is essential. Dark Swarm is probably the strongest spell out of all the Blizzard RTSs ever. And so that's the game plan. NaDa has not managed to make a strike yet. That's okay by the way this game's looking, but he eventually has to come out and do something. Yell0w almost kind of looking like Sulky did in the last couple seasons of ASL. Maybe looking for a fight in the middle. Now, this is a huge army. If Yell0w fights and doesn't win, and it's a lot of medics in here, that could be bad. So he has to be very careful to, I think, not attack in here. Well, hold on.
Oh, Yell0w, he's pushing it right now with the Lings. The Mutas, already 2 of them getting focused down there by the Marines, and the entire Zerg swarm has been cleaned up here by the bio of NaDa.
Yeah, I looked at that, I thought, I don't think Zerg can take that, but it can be hard to tell. A lot of times when you have Zerglings and Mutalisks and you're trying to hit a wave of Terran infantry, it's about angling, it's about surrounding. So we have double starport coming up here. This is going to be SK Terran style. It's going to be all vessels with Marines and medics, and they're going to be trying to push out. Oh my God, there's no lurkers here. Did he skip lurker tech? There's supposed to be lurkers at that ramp. 3 sunken colonies is not going to cut it. The whole point of taking a third main is that you can defend it. Meanwhile, an attacker in the center. Oh, 2 huge irradiates here from NaDa.
Oh, is Yell0w able to split the Mutas in time? It looks like no. A lot of them get taken down there. And as you said, Tasteless, no lurkers to be spotted. Instead, he's going straight for the ultras. But this is a very greedy play. If NaDa is able to find a timing before those ultras are out on the map, there isn't enough firepower on the ground here for Yell0w to truly survive. Oh, okay, this vessel, they're going to try to retreat. Scourge, only one of them gets the big connection.
So, in more modern play, we would have had like 2 or 3 lurkers at the ramp. This does now look like an older game. So we're getting further along here. And that's because making sunken colonies in the main is just an older concept. And that's why Terran can probably punish here. But let's see. Lings and Mutas come in here and surround, and this is a moment where really Yellow's bleeding units off.
There aren't that many medics here to heal everything up. We have 2 on the front lines, but the fact that everything is streaming in like this here for Yell0w, is he actually be able to clean it up? The Lings do get the connections. They have some key upgrades also coming through, so it looks like for now this top left base will be safe, but the supplies really tell the story. When you play this kind of SK Terran style, you're comfortable trading a lot here.
He's going to go for nukes.
Wait.
He's going for nukes.
Oh, that's why he took down the comm set.
Yeah, I thought I heard Marines attacking the main, and I thought, okay, maybe, it's a big live event. I thought maybe my audio was off. So he's going to go for a nuke play.
No way. Oh, this is such a cool move coming in from NaDa.
So it's 3 hatch Ultra. That means that every Ultralisk that's killed off, it's a big deal. 4 hatch Ultra is generally considered like the lower level, or I guess let me say it like this: a standard way to tech into that. You feel safe. You can do it with 3 sorry, I should say 3 extractors is what I meant to say. Now, what I think NaDa wants to do is push across the map diagonally, set up outside of Yell0w's base, and nuke it. And when he nukes it, the sunken colonies are going to be all very brittle, and the Marines can stem and take them out. And remember, Yell0w skipped Lurker Tech. So when you skip Lurker Tech, Zerg could no longer exploit angles of fighting. They try to win with brute force. A nuke hitting this base and softening up all the defenses would probably result in a fatal blow here where Yell0w's eliminated.
Those science vessels barely dodging the scourge of Yell0w as NaDa encroaches on his side of the map. Moving forward here, it looks like Yell0w is trying to get ready to try and surround this position, but that's a lot of scourge going down. Those vessels staying alive. The Irradiates can do big damage to those Ultras, and he is getting closer and closer to that natural. Watching the minimap, Yell0w, he might be going for a counterattack.
Yeah, Yell0w might counterattack, but I think Terran, the engine back at home is really churning out a lot of units. I don't know that he has the numbers on his side.
Yeah, that's right.
So here we go. He's going to come up. He's going to nuke it. Okay, it's happening. It's targeted right. If you notice, there's a small red dot there. He's going to try to come in from every single side. This may actually be enough, but will it stop the nuke from falling?
Oh, the D-Matrix is huge on that frontline Marine. It's taking a lot of the damage from these Ultras, and I think the nuke, it is not going to connect.
The nuke was fired out, but it stayed in outer space state.
It needs the red dot. Tasteless, it doesn't know where to go.
It's going to hit a planet full of Ewoks now. So he actually did not get that style and play off. He tried to set up the nuke, but the reality is that Yell0w had enough Ultras. And, one thing with Ultralisks is that they have so much HP. If they're not killed off, you don't care if an Ultralisk has 10% HP if it still lives through the fight. It's Zerg, right? They're going to heal. Now, because the nuke was denied, it doesn't mean we can't have another one. The nuke, in reality, is not even that expensive in StarCraft. The reason why you don't see that many nukes in pro play is because it's just a hard move to pull off, right? NaDa takes a 3rd base. Let's remember that Yell0w's only on 3 bases as well. Zerg always want to be ahead of Terran in expansions in any game of StarCraft.
Yeah, the main and the natural here for NaDa, just flush and drones is another ghost. Starting to sneak its way over here into the top left. Is Yell0w going to know that this is coming in right on the Nidus?
So it does show a red dot when they do the nuke, and this is going to prompt Yell0w to just go in here and attack. He probably doesn't know where the nuke's hitting. He decides to take a fight, and these drones are gone.
Oh, that nuke doing huge damage, but in NaDa's natural expansion, these Ultras are charging in. Now, they don't have a lot of support in terms of Zergling, in terms of Darkstorm, so they are going to retreat for now, but the Scourge, they were able to take down the Science Vessels. When you play this SK Terran style, you really want to trade the bio. You're playing without tanks. You want to be able to build up a healthy vessel count, and without that, unless NaDa gets +3, I'm a little bit worried. Bella says, what is this in the top left?
He says, yeah. So Yell0w's going to double expand. Keep in mind, Yell0w with a 3rd base, if it doesn't have any drones in it, doesn't really matter. Oh, almost bleeds off that one Ultralisk. I just don't know that there are enough Ultras to fight here. You normally need to have at least a dozen Lings to try to fight with that. The Lings also do a lot of extra damage with the crackling upgrade, but instead, we've got so many infantry coming down here. It's been such a back-and-forth game, but I think this may turn into just a numbers game here where NaDa may be able to overwhelm this bottom left base.
Yeah, the numbers are certainly on his side. We do have more Ultras here in the natural expansion of Yell0w, but is it going to be enough? He was able to pull off a miracle defense with his surround last time, but will his luck go that way this time? Ultras charging for the natural expansion. Now they're also coming in on the north side. These Marines, do they have the upgrades to take these Ultras down? There are so many Ultras, Tasteless. It looks like Yell0w might barely hold on.
Oh my God, he's going to win.
No way.
He's going to win, with the aid of the sunken colonies. And, it's all about the surround, right? When you have infantry, you want to try to hit from a side. The Zerg, I guess it's true for anything where it's melee units versus range units in an RTS game. you want to be able to engulf them, right? They can't kite you. They can't rely on their back rank doing damage. And so he loses that fight. The counterattack comes here from Yell0w, and NaDa attempts to sandbag it with some unfinished structures. They're going to be able to tear their way through. I don't know if there's going to be enough here for Yell0w to break this, but there's also going to be a nuke at this base once more.
There's a nuke at the top left, but the bios come down with the D-Matrix, keeping that one Marine on the front lines alive. That's going to allow NaDa to clean up those Ultras there at the 3 o'clock, but look at this, another push coming into natural expansion, another nuke, not only takes down the drones, but also the hatchery here in the top left side of the map. SCV is getting pulled, they are going to go back to mining now, as NaDa is trying to put out so many fires.
So he is going to come down now and try, well, he tries to go in there and do a little bit more damage, but from here it looks like Terran can't really be injured more. Zerg still has a lot of the map, but I don't know. I don't know. I think the game goes on for a little bit longer, honestly. You know, right now Yell0w needs to get a little bit more of an economy going. NaDa, you know, he's lost, I think, 3 major armies at this point in time. He needs to have another win on a base that I think is a little bit easier, or sorry, a little bit more difficult to hit, which would be the 2 bases adjacent to the starting position right now of Yell0w.
And it's concerning for NaDa because he hasn't really been able to build up that science vessel count thus far, and that is really the true answer that he has for these Ultralisks. And we look at Yell0w's side of the board, he doesn't even have Defilers added into the mix now. Imagine how much more powerful this army will be with Dark Swarm on top of everything else. It has been a very low economy game from our Zerg player thus far. NaDa now fully saturating that fourth, and these Radiants gaming on, oh, the Scourge! They got a connection, at least 2 vessels going down.
The game goes on. The push comes out. Keep in mind, there's not a ton of drones at these extra bases. I do think NaDa's economy is a bit more functional right now. Yell0w has the Defiler. When Consume is done, right? Okay, so that answers that question. Then Dark Swarm can come down as well as play. Oh my God!
That Dark Swarm, I don't know if it's going to be enough. It's not perfectly placed. These Ultras instead, they're just going to bask in the glory of it. Marines doing basically nothing. Another Consume coming in. These Defilers recharging for the next wave. And now these Ultras can get the big surround on the Marines.
He's going to try to come in here and hit. And all the Ultras are going to go down. And I mean, this is disastrous here for Yell0w. And from here, I think NaDa can come in here with another attack.
It really is looking like NaDa's game right now. He finally has the muscle to push through. GG is called. NaDa is taking game number 1, but my goodness, Tasteless, what a close match. NaDa came into this one with a year of practice. He started playing StarCraft 1 again. He's been looking really good online, and Yell0w just pushed him to his limit. He almost won that game.
It was crazy how back and forth that was. It made me very nostalgic because there's so many moments where it's like, you know, in perfect play, you go, oh, okay, well, I guess this guy's going to take it, but no, it was a real tug of war because, you know, there was moments that NaDa looked really strong, but then there was an overextension, right? And then there were moments where, you know, Yell0w seemed to fight back, but then he actually counterattacked and hit too hard. I love the fact that we had the nukes. That was definitely one for the fans. I will tell you something. I've been casting StarCraft 1 for like, what is it, maybe 20 years, 19 years? I can count the number of nukes I've seen on 1 or 2 hands. And 2 of them happened back there. You just don't see nukes ever. It's considered really hard to pull off. Because, you know, if they're ready for it, they're going to punish. It looks like we're going to go into Game 2 now and continue our little show match here with NaDa versus Yell0w. But I got to say, Game 1 was already crazy good.
Yeah, that had delivered some really exciting matches. I love NaDa mixing in the nukes there in Game number 1. That was a really cool mix-up. It's something we usually don't get to see. But I'm kind of wondering, is he going to go back to that kind of flair here in Game number 2? Because Yell0w is looking so scary.
Yeah, well, you know, it's funny. I wasn't sure what to expect because NaDa, you know, historically, you view his era as so much stronger. And Yell0w said, look, I'm not in great shape right now. I'm honored to be here, of course. But Yell0w looked really good. I mean, that was a close match. You didn't really know until maybe the last minute or two who was going to take it. And, of course, there were so many back-and-forth moments there. It wasn't clear until the very end. So we're going to be on the map Dreamliner. Now, they look like they're close together on the map, and they are by air. But they have this kind of horseshoe shape on the map they have to follow here in order to get to each other. So, Mutas can hit the main pretty fast, or Terran can drop ship into the main very quickly. And there's that, but otherwise they're going to be kind of expanding away from each other into the middle of the map. And I look forward to it. I look forward to this game. I'm kind of rooting for Yell0w at this point in time since NaDa did manage to take game 1. But let's see what happens.
Yeah, I would love to see Yell0w get a win on the board. And on an unconventional map like this one, maybe Yell0w has something very special in store for us. You have to wonder how the close air distance is going to mix up the strategies from both of these players. We might have NaDa or Yell0w potentially going for something like a drop early on. That could be a very successful approach on a map like this one, a dangerous one. And I didn't even really factor this. How often do you get your first Overlord to get this kind of scouting information early on in a ZVT? This air distance is so close.
It's crazy. These maps are actually less common when you get into pro matches because of this. Because it's like, well, I get to see exactly what you're doing before it even makes sense for you to send a worker to my base. But they made for some fun and creative games, and I'm kind of glad that, we start the last map we played on Fighting Spirit. That map is old, but it's still used in the ladder today because it's generally considered like, I don't know if you could say the best map, but it's like a good map to start on. It's easy for everybody to follow. I'm glad now we're going to shift into more classical maps here as we go into Game 2 and kind of see what exactly these two are going to try to deliver here. By the way, Yell0w, it's kind of crazy he pulled off 3 base Ultra and did it so well. That was insane.
He did it skipping lurkers, too. I really thought that, skipping the lurkers, if NaDa is able to find a window to exploit that, the lurker is really the backbone of the Zerg army that allows you to survive into something like Hive Tech Ultras, like teching up into the Defilers, and he did it on a relatively low economy as well. Now, it was something very out of the box, and I wonder if Yell0w playing this, I don't know if I want to say archaic, but certainly unique style of CVT is something that might be throwing NaDa off just a little bit.
I'm trying to think of the last time I saw a 3-hatch Ultra, and it's just very rare, but, it's a curveball, right? Especially if you're conservative, like we saw that NaDa was, where he just didn't move out that fast. Then the Ultras can get there pretty quickly. But yeah, one of the things I was not expecting here was a skip lurker tech. But I think Yell0w had some pretty cool ideas, and you can kind of see why this guy was so revered back in the day. Yell0w, for those of you that are watching that are maybe from StarCraft 2, maybe you're a bit younger than myself, Yell0w would be comparable to somebody like Sue in a lot of these tournaments.
It's a very apt comparison.
In that he was like a god-tier Zerg, but he never was getting first place. He was always getting second place to Slayer's Boxer. But, if Slayer's Boxer didn't exist and wasn't changing the game with the way he dropped and harassed and bunker rushed, this would have been the GOAT from the early days.
Absolutely. We really do have 2 legends in their own right on stage right now here at the GeForce Gamer Festival. NaDa, he is going for that fast expand on the low ground. 1 SCV here in the wall-in, just trying to keep things safe. Yell0w, he did go for, what is this, 6 lings in total, but if he's not able to catch this SCV, there is going to be a confirmation scout here from NaDa. He will see the lair timing coming in. Now, this shouldn't be too much of a surprise, but NaDa would love to see exactly what the tech is going to be here from Yell0w, because given the way Yell0w played in game number 1, frankly, this could kind of be anything.
For sure. Right now, it is going to be 2-hatch Spire. And, 2-hatch Spire is, I would say, more modern looking, for sure, than what Yell0w was doing before, although the way Yell0w played was honestly, totally fine. You don't have to play like the way the newest players play, by the way. When I say, not modern, I don't mean it's not good. It's just there's different ideas at play now. This is going to be one where the Zerg, a lot of what they're trying to do is hinged on getting the Mutalisks out fast, trying to do damage, trying to force a lot of turrets. Maybe you force too many turrets, if you're the Terran, or if they don't make enough turrets, then you try to kill SCVs, you try to kill Marines, you try to control them. And what's interesting about this is this game, although, there are some similarities, obviously, from Game 1, this will look much more like the time period both these guys were from.
Yeah, now this is a really interesting approach coming in from NaDa. It's a 1-1-1 build. That means barracks, factories, starport from the Terran player. Second gas already coming in. I wonder what could this be? We have the starport now finishing up. Oh, is this going to be mines?
So I think he's going to make 4 vultures and drop.
It does seem like that.
Here's the thing. You never get a vulture. Ever. This is like not a thing, right? Is to be like, well, I've got my base up. I'm going to make a vulture, but I'm looking at the map, and I'm like, well, maybe there's some ideas there. But the problem is, Zerg, it's so clear they're going to go for muted tech that I worry that if he does a vulture drop, the mutas are just going to kill the dropship.
Yeah, that certainly is possible. I wonder, though. I have seen NaDa play in some of his recent games, something like 4 vultures very early on, going for mines outside these Zerg base, trying to cause problems, but I'm not sure he's going to get an opportunity to utilize them because this is the mutas. They're already coming across the map. We have 1 turret in position, but because this is 1 barracks play, there isn't a lot of anti-air available here for NaDa just yet. Luckily, Yell0w wasn't able to find the angle of attack in. These vultures now getting on the map. Those mutas might hunt them down.
Yeah, but, at least he can clear these lings out here. Vulture speed's done, by the way, so he's going to be a lot faster than Mutalisks. We're going into first person here. We were looking at NaDa a second ago. Actually, I'm sorry, I think oh, never mind. That went so fast, I was like, what? I'm like, now they can both see exactly what each other are doing. Oh, no, sorry, we're back in observer mode. But anyways, the vultures are fast. They're going to get away. And so they're going to be out on the map trying to figure out if they can get any drone kills or kill any lings. But they can outrun Mutalisks. Of course, vultures are very, fragile units. A couple of muta shots, and they do die off.
Yeah, it's an interesting approach coming in from NaDa. Hydralisk is going to be the response here from Yell0w, and I think we're going to have lurkers come out on the map much earlier than we saw previously in game number 1.
So, unfortunately for the Terran, you invest in vultures and vulture speed. They didn't really get a whole lot done. When you go for vultures against Zerg specifically early on, you need to kill workers. And so what NaDa's doing now is he's going to go into Valkyries. And this is like, I'll tell you, in the era that they're both from, people didn't do this. They're considered one of the harder units to control. If you control them well, though, they will melt Mutalisks. Now, we have, even in the highest levels of StarCraft now in 2025, we have players going for Valkyrie tech, and they actually sometimes fumble the ball and lose them. And if you lose the Valkyries, you're in a lot of trouble. So as we watch this game, and as we know, an inevitable big fight involving the air units is going to unfold. Nice, he takes out that drone. When that big fight comes, we want to watch really carefully and see who wins, the Mutalisks or the Valkyries.
Yeah, it's a very tricky dance you have to do there as a Terran player, because if those mutas can get on top of the Valkyries and take them down, oh, that could be a big swing. NaDa has so much invested in using the Valkyries as his main anti-air here versus the Mutaball, which has been growing in numbers. But I say that, and look at how many Valkyries we have already. 3 of them done. I think that's 4 barracks in total here on the high ground. So eventually, NaDa is going to be able to build up to a pretty big push. He is starting tank production. 3 is usually the number you want to go for here as a Terran. The Valkyries get a big number of shots off.
Now, when you show that, that's kind of like showing your hand, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, okay, well, I have anti-air. Now, I want to point something out. When you're making one unit out of a starport, you're not making another one. And so there's no science vessel. Now, scan is going to be handy, but scan is, of course, a limited resource, at least as far as how much you can use all at once. You can accumulate more energy at the comstat and do that. But with the lurkers down here, you got to be careful because you don't have that science hustle play. So again, it will come down a lot to whether or not the Valkyries can wipe out the mutas, and can Terran push from there.
Yes, the tank should be able to push back these lurkers. Already they were able to take down at least one of these depots, the other one pretty deep in the red.
But -1 scan.
Yeah, -1 scan. You're absolutely right. Second engineering bay also coming in. Science vessel certainly going to be the next unit out of that starport, I think, as NaDa needs to work on getting an answer here for these lurkers. And although NaDa hasn't really been able to get very much done on Yell0w's side of the map, we think back to the vultures and vulture speed. They got, I think, maybe 1 drone. They cleaned up, what was it, 5 or 6 lings that were on the map in total. He would have loved to get more. Yell0w still has been playing this quite aggressively. He doesn't have a lot of money invested into drones. These means actually are going to find an angle right here, picking off a couple of SCVs. This is some good harassment coming in from Yell0w, especially with the Valkyries caught out of position in the center of the map.
Both sides are looking pretty good. He's got the 4 out on the map now. Now, let's also remember, it's not just Mutalisks and Valkyries that can fight. Scourge can come into play as well. And when Scourge connect well, by the way, you're really seeing the power of the anti-air here with that, wiping out that Overlord. I think if Yellow can go for Scourge, I don't know that he will. We'll see what hatches out of these eggs in a sec. But the Scourge play might be a great way to do this. Okay, he's going to take out another Overlord. He actually does a counterattack here. He does see there's a vessel. I don't think Irradiate's done yet. Oh, never mind.
It might have just finished. The Valkyries now come back. Almost every single Muta is taken out. One Mutalist with 8 HP is going to live and tell his story. But now, Tasteless, we have a gigantic drop in the main base of NaDa.
Insane. The Lurkers go to burrow. None of them are in range of the mineral patches. Tanks are sieging up. And the Sim City setup over here for the Terran is actually working out pretty nicely. He can't quite get to that key tech. The Terran now has to push back into his own main, leapfrogging the siege tanks. The science facility actually is going to go down, which means there's only going to be one science vessel unless he queued it up before it was killed off. Back over here, going for the E-base is perfectly acceptable. Yell0w is winding up for another big attack over here in the front.
Oh, there is so much rallying across the center of the map right now, and already the main base here of NaDa is in disarray, and that's going to give these Lurkers an opportunity to push forward. Siege Tanks and Marines able to take one more down. This second one also falls. A Comsat comes in. Really nice target firing there from NaDa. That could have gone the other way. Instead, he's able to parry that attack at his natural expansion, and now Yell0w, he's coming back to the main base, but it looks like NaDa's cleaning that up as well.
Okay, he's going to try to run back. Now, once you show one big drop like that, and you show you've invested in gas in both Overlord speed and drop, the Terran kind of has that in the back of your head, right? Okay, now here come those Valkyries.
Oh, this is huge. Even with Overlord speed, I'm not sure if any of them are going to get away right now. Yell0w is down to 53 out of 51 supply. Even more Overlords are going to fall. He is winding up for another attack. We see more Zerg units rallying across the map, but I feel like the window, it might have just been missed already, Tasteless.
Well, you know, the problem now is he can't make more stuff. So if he was going to hit, again, kind of doesn't make sense unless he goes in now and probably loses the fight. More Overlords are being killed. So whenever we see the Mutalisks get wiped out, now the Terran has air supremacy. So the Terran can roam all over the map and start to supply block the Zerg over and over and over. And this is really painful. If you look at Yell0w's income, it's getting higher and higher. And you know, StarCraft is one of the only things where you don't want to have a bunch of money in the bank. You actually want to spend it. You don't get interest on that. You can't buy stocks with it. So what happens now is he has to get the Overlords out as fast as possible and try to dump those resources like he does now back into Lurkers. He just now got back into that velocity where he can start to make more units again. But this is where Terran's going to attack. Terran has a big army. The Valkyries are less of a factor now. They've kind of served their purpose. In fact, if you look at the minimap, they're patrolling over that cavity between the two bases. Now it's going to be down to the push and whether or not NaDa can finish Yell0w off.
There's very little economy left here for Yell0w, and a lot of those production cycles were spent on just replenishing the Overlord count, so his supply is so low because he can make, 7, 8 more Overlords just to get into the realm. A possibility here in terms of production. Now these armies getting ready to clash here. Oh, those science vessels a little bit far forward. One of them will get taken down, but with just Hydras, Yell0w's going to have to retreat to safer ground. A lot of Lurkers coming in. Yell0w would love to hide these, but with science vessels on the front line, I'm not sure he's going to have the opportunity. Here he goes, one last Hail Mary attack.
The tank spread is so good. The Lurker push looks scary, but they're just not quite in range. And 5 tanks survive. D-Matrix over there as the Lurkers running away get shelled once more. And now this is where NaDa could have the killing blow. Now let's not forget what happened in the last game. We had several different moments where NaDa got in there. It looked like he had the damage ready to close the game out, but Yell0w surrounded. But it was with Ultralisks in the last game. And we don't have Ultra Tech here now, which means it's going to be a lot harder for Yell0w to get through this and come out on top.
Oh, it's looking like Yell0w's time in game number 2 might be numbered. The Siege Tanks, they're entrenching themselves in this position, knocking on the front door of the natural expansion, controlling the junction between that and the third base as more Terran army streams across the center of the map. And even if Yell0w gets the dream engagement, I'm not sure he's going to be able to break this one. The Siege Tanks, they are creeping closer and closer to Lurkers. They are in hold position, I think. Finally, now they're trying to get some attacks in, but there just isn't quite an angle.
The rest of the Hydras are going to be wiped, and you can see Yell0w smiling. Taps out with a GG, and that is going to do it, everybody.